Salam and hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Khadija. Before I dive into today's topic, I wanted to wish everyone out there an Eid Mubarak if you celebrated Eid. Also, I pray that you left Ramadan better than you entered Ramadan, inshallah. You know, your du'as will be accepted, especially the du'as of those and for those in areas of the world such as the Congo, Philistine, the Sudan, Haiti, Nigeria, even the United States. So inshallah, our du'as will be accepted. Ameen. For today's topic, I want to discuss building better eating habits, especially now that we've just exited the month of Ramadan. So many of us sisters, number one, have been able to fast 23 to 30 consecutive days without interruption, alhamdulillah. And it's good for us to leverage those habits or that habitual state of fasting moving forward. So that's number one, and I'll dive into that a little bit more. Number two, what's happening is that as a result of fasting, our body has been relying on glycogen for energy reserves. Many of us have been using these glycogen stores for fuels. Many of us have been burning fat for fuel. But we've also been losing a little protein, which is something I'm also going to address in a little bit during this video. And so with prolonged fasting, our body is using different types of metabolism to adjust and conserve energy. So I think that's something that's important to note. Number three, with our reduced intake of food, our stomach has shrunk. We no longer are eating throughout the day or eating a lot, I would say, and so there is no longer the need for our stomach to expand in such capacity since we aren't eating as much food. So our stomach has now adapted by decreasing in size, and this shrinkage occurs because it's no longer stretching with large meals, as I just mentioned. One thing you might notice is that when you're eating throughout the day, or if you ate during Eid day, maybe eating throughout the day, snacking here and there, eating big meals. If you're celebrating with different people or families, you may have noticed that you got bloated really quickly, or you may have gotten an upset stomach. And that's a telltale sign. That's your body telling you that your stomach no longer has that capacity to widen as much because it's used to being so small throughout the month of Ramadan. And this is why I think you should leverage that knowledge and that information to implement some of the eating habits, which I'm going to dive into right now. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do is to continue to fast. Many of you will be fasting the 6 months of Shawwal, but even after that, consider implementing either Sunnah fast on Mondays and Thursdays and or intermittent fasting. I've talked about it multiple times on this channel, the benefits of intermittent fasting and the different windows that might be able to work for your schedule. Either you work from home or work in the office, or you're a student, or you're studying, or you're always on the go. I also talk about different books that have been beneficial in understanding how intermittent fasting is beneficial for the body. So those are some things I think you should consider. Is your body has already adapted to being without food for such a long period of time. And barring no medical issues, barring no health issues, this is something you really want to consider, because it's going to be able to get you going for, in the long run, and longevity. Fasting has benefits for longevity. And so I think if you're able to keep up with this habit of fasting, not be so focused on food, this could be a really good thing for you. Don't just fast 30 days out of the year, because I also mentioned that there's a certain amount of dread that comes when Ramadan comes each year. It's because people are worried that, how am I going to fast? How am I going to go without food? Build a habit so that when it comes time to fast, you won't feel such enormous amounts of dread or fear of not going without food or water during the day. So again, I've talked about intermittent fasting, and I will leave the links of those videos or books below for you. So second on the list, I want to encourage you to eat more fiber and more protein. Hopefully you'll continue fasting, but in those eating windows, these are some things you want to consider. Fiber is good for several reasons. So fiber helps with digestion. It also helps lower your blood glucose levels, and it also helps with your stool. It helps bulk up your stool so it's easier to pass. One thing you want to keep in mind is when you're taking in a lot of fiber, you want to take in a lot of water. Most people don't get up to 25 grams a day. Some people get up to 100 grams a day of fiber. But I'd say start where you are, track where your fiber is at this moment in time, and hopefully, it will be good for you in the long run. Another thing is with the protein. So protein is important because we need it for our muscle, right? During the month of Ramadan, many of us lost fat, but we also lost our muscle because we weren't eating as much throughout the day, and we may not have been working out the way we normally work out. So that's something you want to eat too, is consider increasing your protein. Now, I haven't talked about protein in depth on my channel yet, but I am working on a few ways to help you see where you can get protein in, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or you eat fish or meat-based products or chicken or poultry. Until that video or those videos come out, I will leave a link below in the description about how you can increase your protein intake, especially for women who are getting older, over the age of 40. I mean, we're all getting older, but over the age of 40, when we're tending to lose more muscle mass because our estrogen stores, progesterone, testosterone, our hormones are fluctuating and decreasing. So it's going to be harder for us to maintain the muscle. And so I'm going to leave a link below about ways in which we can increase our protein so that we're not losing as much muscle. Now, the third thing I want to talk about on this list is hydration. We won't have much of a challenge with hydration as we did with the month of Ramadan, especially because we're not fasting 7 days out of the week and we're intermittent fasting, which with intermittent fasting, you're allowed to drink water, keep your calories below 35 calories during your fasting windows. It's different for everybody, but that's kind of like the standard, is to keep your calories within 35 calories during that fasting window, and then eating wisely during your eating window. But with hydration, we want to drink more water during the day if we're intermittent fasting, and we want to get into the habit of that, because drinking water not only gets rid of the toxins that are built up in our body, but it also helps us, again, with staying regular, passing stools, not being constipated as we're passing those stools. It also helps with, temperature regulation, our skin rigidity, our skin turgor, like keeping healthy skin as we age, which is important since we are also losing collagen as we age. And another thing I want to mention is that, drinking water also helps with our brain activity. So water is going to be very important for us as we're continuing our fasting post-Ramadan. And a fourth on the list, I want to talk about compounding your new fasting regimen with exercise. Now, it's good to fast. It's good to withhold from being so focused on food. And there's benefits of fasting, right? But in the same breath, there's also benefits in exercise. Now, I don't know what your intention is with fasting. It could be to keep your mind away from food. It could be to just complete the sunnah fast for the goodness, for your good deeds. It could be to lose weight, and that's personal choice. But I also think that exercising is also a good way to stay healthy. So you want to compound your fasting with an exercise routine that works for you. So I've placed a video on my channel talking about the different ways of exercising for women 35, 45, 55. And it involves strength training, it involves balance. Because as we get older, there are some things you're going to notice as you get older. And that's the loss of muscle, the increase in abdominal fat, which more than likely is visceral fat. It's very hard for us to know where the fat is, but guaranteed based off of research, we're having a lot more visceral fat, and that's the fat that is surrounding our organs, as opposed to just fat that's out or underneath the skin. I hope I'm clear. So with going back to my original thought, I'm going to post a video or I'm going to post a link to one of the videos I did in the past, which talks specifically about getting in the right types of exercise and, how to build a habit or routine around that so that, you are feeling as healthy as you possibly can as you age. So I want you to consider jump rope. I want you to consider HIIT or high intensity interval training. I want you to consider walking. In the West, the weather is getting better. So if you're not into the habit of walking, please start to walk. And I also want you to consider strength training. So that's weight-bearing exercises, using your body, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. Those are big ones, or squats, lunges, something to start you going. And then eventually start using weight within your exercise routine. That's going to be so important for you along the journey. And especially if you, and I know I say this many times on my channel, because I feel like there are a lot of women who are out there who are perimenopausal, late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, who don't yet understand the importance of building a routine that will help them in the long run, or that will help us in the long run. So again, just to recap, I want you to consider fasting outside of the month of Ramadan. Whether it's your Sunnah fast on Mondays and Thursdays, or start building in an intermittent fasting routine. I want you to consider eating more protein and fiber so that you can remain full and healthy during your eating windows and your fasting windows. I want you to consider hydration, drinking more water, or drinking more electrolyte-based drinks that will keep you from being thirsty or having your electrolytes imbalanced. Also, start exercising. Start putting in those exercise routines that can help compound the effects of fasting, and inshallah that will help you along your journey. So it's very early, we're right out of the month of Ramadan. Some of you have different emotions going on that Ramadan is ending, but I'm here to encourage you in terms of a healthy lifestyle, some things you can do to just keep you going and to keep the momentum going, so that it can be just like it's set. It's something that seems natural to you, and it helps you in the long run, inshallah. So I hope this video has been helpful. I did want to make a small request to just ask the viewers if there's something that's been on your mind that you want me to talk about. Put it in the description, or put it in the comments, I should say. Anything related to health, wellness, self-development, maybe in terms of your health, let me know in the comments. I'd be willing to research that information, or research that topic for you, and to talk about it in a future video. I can't guarantee it'll be the next video, but it's something that I can put on the list of things to do. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the time you spent with me in this video. Again, Eid Mubarak, and see you in the next video. Take care.